Hello and welcome. In today's episode, I'm going to give you the 10 best swing tips for beginner golfers. And well, if you're not really a beginner golfer, but more of a skilled player, I promise you will still benefit from listening to this episode.
Welcome to the Golf for Beginners podcast, your essential guide to mastering golf fundamentals. Whether you're a beginner golfer or a seasoned player looking to refine the basics, join us as we teach you everything about the fundamentals of swing technique, course management, equipment, rules, and how to practice. Today's host is none other than the award-winning PGA golf instructor Nikolaj Sæthe Engström, CEO of the biggest golf teaching business in Denmark and founder of Golf for Beginners Academy.
Hello and welcome to this episode. My name is Nikolaj. I'm a PGA golf instructor from Denmark, and today I'm going to give you the top 10 swing tips for beginner golfers. And honestly, it might not be 100% correct to say that these tips are only for beginner golfers, because I see a bunch of players that have played for 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 years that are still struggling with these very fundamental things. So even though you played golf for a long time, I am very sure that you will still find some very useful information in this episode. So let's just jump straight into the top 10 tips. And number one tip, it's going to be that your club needs to hit the ground after you have hit the ball. And this is actually one of the most fundamental things about the whole golf game, that the club needs to hit the ground after you hit the ball. So if you are a right-handed player, that means that your club head, when you're hitting a iron, it could be a 7-iron, let's just say that, but actually all irons in this case, the iron needs to hit the grass and the ground a little bit on the left side of the ball. So the lowest point of your swing should actually be a little bit after the ball. And this is quite confusing for a lot of beginner players. They still think that they don't think they need to hit the ground, or they think they need to hit the ground right under the ball. But the club needs to meet the ground just on the left side of the ball. That is tip number one. And it's a very, very fundamental thing about the golf game. Tip number two, and it is actually related to tip number one, because tip number two is that you need to keep and move your weight forward. And when I say forward, I mean for right-handed players, right-handed player, you need to move your weight towards the left side of your body, towards the left leg. We could also say that you need to move your weight towards the target. And this happens in the downswing. In the downswing, we would like to see the weight moving more and more over to your left foot. And this is actually also one of the reasons why the club will hit the ground after the ball. That will happen if you have moved your weight far enough to the left side in the downswing. So that was tip number two. Tip number three, it is also a little bit related to this low point. And when I say low point, I mean where does the lowest point of the swing circle, where is that? And tip number three is going to be that you have to keep your head pretty steady. And I mean both in the backswing, downswing, follow through, try and limit how much your head is moving from side to side and up and down, especially in the backswing and in the downswing. I see so many beginner players, they're moving their head from side to side and up and down, and they don't really stand a chance in order to hit the ball consistently well. So that's going to be tip number three. Keep your head from moving too much. Tip number four, it's going to be about your left arm. Again, if you're a right-handed player. So we really want the left arm to be straight. And we want it to be pretty straight in setup. We want it to be straight all the way in the backswing, all the way in the downswing, and also quite a long time after you hit the ball, we want the left arm to be straight. I see so many beginner and also more regular players that they bend their left arm either in the backswing or on the way in the downswing. And that is just limiting them from ever getting any consistency about how they hit the ball. So please keep that left arm straight. Tip number five. It is going to be that you need to turn your hips in the backswing. And again, unfortunately, I meet a lot of new players that they have found some YouTube videos or something saying that they need to restrict their hip turn in the backswing. But that is not the case. If you look at all the best players in the world, they will allow a nice hip rotation in the backswing. That is going to allow them to generate a lot more club speed so they can hit the ball further. And it's also going to allow them to come down on the right path, basically down to the ball. So please allow those hips to rotate in the backswing. And the way you do that is that if you're a right-handed player, your right leg will straighten in the backswing, and the left leg, the left knee will bend more. And that straightening and bending of the knees, that will help you rotate your hips in the backswing. Tip number 6. It is gonna be a little bit related to the hip rotation, because I've written that you also need to rotate your upper body. But while rotating your upper body, you need to turn your shoulders down. And what do I mean by that? So in the backswing, we want to turn our upper body, but we want to make sure that our left shoulder, again, if we're a right-handed player, the left shoulder is turning down towards the ground. And when we swing towards the ball and our chest is starting to face the target more, we want to make sure that the right shoulder is actually turning down towards the ground. And why do we want to do this? Well, this is actually related to tip number 3 about not having your head moving around all the time. Because the shoulders and the upper body needs to turn on an angle, tilted angle. And the only way we can keep this angle is by making sure that the shoulders are actually turning down towards the ground in the backswing and in the downswing / follow through. So that was tip number 6. Make sure when you rotate your upper body, you are rotating so your shoulders are turning down towards the ground each way. Tip number 7. It's going to be about your hips, and more specifically about how your hips should move while you swing down towards the ball and also after you hit the ball. And I've written that tip number 7 is that you need to tuck your hips in the follow through. Follow through is the part of the swing that happens after we hit the ball. And when I say tuck your hips, I kind of mean that if you're wearing a belt, try and imagine that you're pushing the belt bucket towards the target and your butt is basically being pushed under yourself, if that makes any sense. That is gonna help with a bunch of things, especially with generating power in the golf swing. So make sure your belt bucket, you push that forward towards the target in the downswing and in the follow through. Tip number 8, it's gonna be about your hands and how you need to swing your hands relative to your body. And I see a bunch of beginners, they have this idea that they need to swing their hands up in the air in the backswing and up in the air in follow through. And well, they do that because they think it's gonna create a lot of speed and a lot of power if they swing the hands up in the air. But that is actually not what is creating club speed and energy in the golf swing. The energy comes from the centrifugal force, where you swing your hands in a circle around your body, both in the backswing and also after you hit the ball. So mainly thinking about this in the backswing, make sure when you're standing over the ball and you're getting ready to do the backswing, we want your hands to move in a circle around your body, basically around you, so they come kind of like behind your back, if that makes any sense. And then when you swing down, they come out in front of your body again. And then after you hit the ball, the hands will again swing in a circle, more to the left of the target, basically keeping that circle. That is going to help you again get the right path on the club and also to generate some club speed. Tip number 9, and honestly this might have been a little bit higher up on the list, but let's say the list is not in any prioritized order, because they are all really important. But tip number 9 is that both arms, they need to be straight after you've hit the golf ball. And my dear friends, this one is important. I honestly would say that probably 90% of the golf lessons that I give, and I give quite a lot of lessons, this point comes up at some point where the arms, they are not straight right after you've hit the ball and in the next part of the swings. I see so many players where the elbows they split apart, and that is making it super difficult to control where the club hits the ground if you are bending your arms too early in the downswing. So really make sure that you keep those arms straight in the period right after you hit the ball. And then the last tip number 10 on this list, written down that you need to extend your body in the finish position. So the finish position would be the position you're in when you're actually standing and hopefully looking at the ball flying. And when you're in that position, I want to make sure that your whole front side so legs and stomach and chest and everything. It is very extended and very opened up. Imagine that you're standing pretty tall and proud looking after the golf ball. We don't want to be all bent forward or anything, and especially not bent in the knees either. We want to be tall and extended in the body when we are at this finished position. So that was actually 10 tips, 10 of the best swing tips that I could come up with. And I am sure that even though you're a beginner or maybe you're a more advanced player, probably some of these things you need to work on. And if you want to see them written down, you can always jump on the website. I'll put a link in the show notes. Otherwise, I just want to say thank you so much for listening in today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you found some of these tips useful for you. And I also hope that you have the time and energy to jump out on the driving range and maybe work on a few of these things. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast. It's going to help me a lot. And you can also find Golf for Beginners on different social media channels and also on YouTube. Thank you for now, and I will talk to you again soon.
Thank you for tuning in to another insightful episode of the Golf for Beginners podcast. We hope you found valuable tips and inspiration to enhance your golf journey. Remember, whether you're a novice or a seasoned player, there's always room for improvement. For more in-depth resources, tutorials, and a supportive community, head over to our website at golfforbeginners.academy. There, you'll find a wealth of information to elevate your game. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast with your fellow golf enthusiasts. Until next time, keep practicing, keep learning, and enjoy this lovely game.